Hey all, here at OS Reviews. So by now we've all realized that Xiaomi has ambitions in more than just making smartphones. And one example that we're taking a look at today is the Populele. I'm pretty excited for this. It's a smart ukulele, which if you think it's kind of odd, well, they actually have their own crowdfunding platform for making all sorts of things these days, including a walking pad or a kind of small treadmill that can fold down to a size of a small box they can put into let's say a suitcase for transportation, things like that. They have smart shoes, they have smart thermometers, all types of things more than just phones. So the Populele, the concept at least, is a ukulele that you can actually play and it works like a traditional instrument, but it has a fretboard with LED lights on it that teaches you where to put your fingers. So if you're a first-time musician or haven't used a ukulele before, it teaches you how to play as well as it helps you practice with a few songs, which is a pretty cool idea. It sells for about $130. You can find it in links down below. Sometimes it goes on sale for $100, which is actually not very expensive when you consider that phones these days can cost upwards of $1,000. So here's the box on the inside. It says Populele U1. There are other versions that have a slightly different color scheme, but the U1 has this dark and light shade. Again, the fretboard, which is composed of LED lights that you can rearrange as well, add different kind of dazzling effects as well, sign your name even if you are just using it to perform in the dark. And on the back, some very basic specifications. Works with Android phones and iOS iPhones and uses Bluetooth to connect to the app, and has an 800 milliamp hour capacity battery. So in the box, aside from the ukulele itself, we have a number of different accessories, including a pretty handy duffel case that you can use to carry the instrument with you to protect it when you are traveling, and even has these cutouts for the kind of holes on the instrument to prevent damage. There's also a handle or a strap that you can use to string it along, and it even has kind of a synthetic leather backing as well. So a pretty nice extra case accessory. We also have kind of these picks if you don't want to use your fingers to strum along, and it has a Populele kind of logo on it as well. We also have this clamp, so you can change the key of the instrument if you want to make it higher without having to hold down your fingers or shift as much. And we also have some spare strings as well, which are made out of plastic if one of these breaks. There's a sticker from the manufacturer. There's also a micro USB cable for charging. It takes about 2 hours to charge the ukulele. There's a user manual, but like most Xiaomi products, it's unfortunately all in Chinese. Luckily, there is an English version of the app available. You can just search Populele in the Play Store and it should pop up. But if you scan this QR code, it's going to download the Chinese version of the app and have more Chinese songs when you try to play along in the karaoke mode versus the English app, which has more current kind of Western music, pop music inside. There's also another QR code that thanks you for purchasing the Populele. So taking a quick look at the instrument itself, if you aren't familiar, you probably think this is just a small guitar, but again, a Populele has less strings than the guitar. It only has 4, as you can see here. And this is an instrument that's very popular, say, in Hawaii, and it's getting increasingly popular as well in terms of it being in the media more and more, with several talent shows like America's Got Talent, The Voice, so on and so forth, having more and more contestants that are using this to accompany their music, just because it's pretty easy to travel with and has a fairly unique sound. On the top here we have the tighteners for individual strings to adjust the pitch higher and lower, and it's fine because in the app there's also a tuner function, so you can just play it and then the phone will have a microphone and it will tell you whether your note is too low or high, and then how to twist it to adjust the tuning for the first time. The body of the instrument is made out of a wood or compressed wood material. The fretboard here is made out of plastic because it has lights underneath, and inside we can also see how the instrument is kind of built acoustically. So when you're ready, you can just turn it on by tapping on this key here, but you can actually just tap once, and very quickly the fretboard here will flash for a second. That's actually the battery status LED, so there's 4 bars. Right now it's full, it means full capacity. If there's 2, it means at 50% capacity. And then I can long hold on this button for a few seconds, and you'll see this animation starting from the top to the bottom, and that means the Populele has now been turned on and you're ready to connect it or pair using Bluetooth with your phone. So here's the Populele app, and the first time that you download it, you have to create an account to register through email so it can save your progress. You'll be able to then connect to the device using Bluetooth. Simply tap on the nearest Populele, and it says the strings may need to be tuned the first time that you reconnect it using Bluetooth. I'm going to cancel because I've already tuned it. I can tap on Start Game, and this is what the interface is like. Essentially, we have several categories. The first, which is game, and if I tap on game, it basically tells you how to play the ukulele one step at a time. So from preparation, it's going to tell you a bit more about each string, chords to play, how to hold it. So it starts with the basics. It will then go through some very simple songs. So for instance, Going Down the Road, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, before progressing into more complex songs until you complete this entire game-like tutorial. You can also play back songs directly from their catalog, which is kind of their karaoke mode. And from here, it's separated by easy, normal, and hard, and there's actually a fair selection of modern pop songs that you can find on here. So for instance, Adele's Someone Like You is a relatively easy song, supposedly, and if I wanted to tap on this to play it, I can just click on that for a second. It's going to load, so you have to be connected to the internet, and it's going to tell you first the chords that you need to play, so C, G, A, M, and F. So if you have trouble remembering, you can simply tap on the C, for instance, and you can also practice this by strumming it along, and when it hears the correct note, it will move on. I can skip this, and this is what the G is supposed to be like. You can see from the phone how you're supposed to be holding it, and then this is AM. So it really is like karaoke, because first you can just master the process of playing the song, and afterwards the lyrics do pop up on screen as well, so you can sing along too. And of course you have the ability to start recording the session as well. And since most cell phones do have pretty good microphones these days, you can actually do a decent recording and then share it with friends and family and whatnot. The app also allows us to do a few things, including changing the speed of the song. So I can make it faster, up to 1.3 times in this case. So now the rhythm is faster. You have to be more proficient in terms of switching the positions of the chords. And you can also make it slower as well if you're just starting off, or if you're just trying to practice the song and the melody, you can do that as well. I can pause it here. I can also scrub between different parts of the song by just dragging this along, or also cut it to make the entire song a little bit shorter. Xiaomi has also made this a social process, so you can record a song and then share it with other users on the Populele app. So I'm not sure if I'm brave enough to do that, but those who want to can, and if you want to, you can then tap on this little icon on the bottom here, and you'll be able to see if someone has uploaded this song to the internet, and you can play it back. You have all the current hits, but you're probably not going to get, let's say, the latest titles, and you're also not going to get really old songs either. So if you're looking for classics, things like that, the point here is that with the tutorial on the game mode, you'll be able to master all the chords, you'll be able to learn how to read the notes, things like that, and then you can just pick it up and then practice your own songs if you want to, just searching them up online. So this just really gives you a fundamentals and a few fun examples to work with, and the hope is that you can continue afterwards. Under Tools, we can specifically access the tuner. So for instance, let's just try that. The one that's lit up. And it's telling us that that one passed, so it's automatically moved on to the next string, and if it's too low or too high, it tells you how to turn it upwards or downwards, counterclockwise or clockwise. I can also tap on this, and you can hear that it's also approved it and moved on. There's also the Chord Library, so it goes through all of the chords that are basic on the ukulele, and then it trains you through it once more. There's also the dazzle mode, which allows you to now kind of customize the LED lights in the fretboard. So if you're an advanced player and you no longer need assistance when it comes to the live placement of notes as you're playing along, you can just simply use it to display a static image, for instance your name or something like that, and you can just use it to play like an actual musician. Or you can use it as an equalizer mode, where there's a microphone, so as you're playing louder, the music waves are larger. So it's basically a display mode instead of just showing you where to put your fingers. So for instance, here is a wave, and again, this is someone that's using the equalizer, so you can see that as I'm talking louder, it's creating a larger wave. More quiet, the wave is also going to be smaller. And this is a linear mode, so you can see another visualization for the equalizer settings, also pretty colorful and fun to play around with. So let's do a very quick, I guess, demo. I'm just going to try one of the tutorials under the game setting, and just to give you guys an idea of what the experience is like. I've already completed some of these, but let's start with, let's say, the preparation. And for instance, let's try plucking and strumming. It's first going to play back a video clip.
Now you should already be familiar with the holding position. Let's make some sound. Make sure your wrist is relaxed. Put your thumb on the strings above the sound hole like this. Then pluck down on each string. Make sure you can hear each string clearly.
And in the game mode, you'll also be able to find some questions. So it's going to ask you which plucking posture is correct. So this one is here. So it's going to quiz you along, and if you pass the quiz, that's how you can advance to the next level for some of these basic levels. But on some of the harder levels, what you have to do is then actually master these songs, and because, again, there's a microphone on the phone, it can listen to what you're playing, and if you're actually doing the right rhythm, plucking the right notes, and you've reached a certain percentage, like it will say, oh, you've done 80% of the notes correctly, you can pass on to the next level. If you failed, then you have to redo the level again and practice it. And it also rates you based on stars in terms of how well you've practiced each song. And here's a quick demo. I'm just going to start by playing back, let's say, one of the quick songs, Going Down the Road, a folk song from the tutorial list.
Go!
And in this particular case, you can see the results shows as an F, which means fail, because previous high score was a 93% accuracy, and in that play, it was only 90% accuracy for notes and rhythm. So you can try and beat that high score, but it's enough to pass this level, so you can then continue on to the next tutorial. So it gets harder and harder progressively. I believe this is one of the first songs, so pretty slow and not much dynamic in terms of the chords that you have to master, but in the end, it gets, of course, a lot more challenging. So the concept itself, again, does work surprisingly well, and then, of course, you can get higher up on this catalog, and once you've mastered all of these different chords, and that you can seamlessly transition back and forth without even looking at the LED fretboards, that's when you can start tackling on, let's say, high-level difficulty songs in the song library before moving on to playing your own music, just looking up sheet music online. So just a final look at some of these tracks before we end this video, so you can tell that there are a few surprises here. There are a few indie artists or up-and-coming artists that I didn't really think that would be on here, considering that they've pulled out a few songs. And this is, again, a company based in China. But there's Dia Frampton, who was a contestant on The Voice many seasons ago, so I was a little surprised to see that there. There's, of course, the classic Over the Rainbow, which was, of course, originally performed on the ukulele. And even Grace Vanderwall, who also plays, of course, the ukulele in her AGT audition. Ed Sheeran is on here, and there's a few tracks on here that are a bit surprising. You don't really think that they would work on a ukulele because they are so different originally, but they actually do work, and it includes titles from, let's say, Christina Aguilera from Pink, from Beyonce, so they're, again, a pretty good selection of songs that you can probably find something that you enjoy listening to from various genres, regardless of pop, rock, or country music. And as a last kind of afterthought, if you haven't seen a Populele before, just for size comparison, it's about the same as a full-sized violin. Violins, I think, are slightly more popular, at least in most US high schools where orchestras exist. So a ukulele is about the same size there if you want to quickly compare it. So that's the Xiaomi Populele U1, a really clever, smart instrument that I think is well worth the $150, just because as a ukulele on itself, it is actually pretty well constructed and works quite well. The entire set, including the carrying case, as well as the picks that you get, and also the smart educational tools from the software side that teaches you how to play and guides you along the way, is really a worthwhile overall package deal. And I think that having the fretboard be fully customizable in terms of being an equalizer, being able to sign your name, is also really cool, even if you already know how to play a ukulele. If you don't, this is, I think, a great introduction to music and musical instruments, so if you're trying to get involved, this might be a great first step. It's quite easy to pick up compared to, let's say, a piano, a full-size guitar, or a violin, for instance. And considering the pretty affordable price and the ability for you to learn a nice skill that may also improve your other learning abilities along the way, learning more musical instruments, this is definitely something that is worth a closer look. You can check out more details down in the links down below, but for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been the Xiaomi Populele U1.